Hello, Sharon.
Hi, Fox.
Hi. Hello, Soldier.
Hi, Soldier.
So, we're here today to talk about relationships and dating and things like that. And I have asked, here today as a very special guest is my lovely ex-girlfriend. We've been broken up for 3 years now?
Yeah, about that.
About that. And we were together for under 3 years.
Yeah.
Just under
That's
3
right.
years. And when did we get together? We got together when I was just about starting to transition.
You just started your transition, not medically, but you'd told me when we were friends, which was about 6 months prior.
Yeah. And you were one of the first people that I came out to.
Yes. I can't remember exactly, but it was before we got together.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
And then when we did get together, I think you were actually you just started...
Taking hormones, but not on the NHS. I was taking kind of illegal hormones.
Yeah, and then you also, that year, you went and did my transsexual summer. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So
that summer, we got together in
the summer, I think. Yeah.
That summer, that we did.
I'm just going to put the snappy crocodile away because he's doing my head in. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about pressures and things like that because obviously the first couple of years of transition are pretty intense, and it does die down eventually, but I think we were in the thick of it, and then it all kind of went to shit, and then we broke up for a number of reasons, obviously, not just the transition, but I think that was a major factor. Do you think that was a major factor?
It wasn't that you were transitioning that it was the issue. I think when someone's transitioning and you're in a relationship with someone who's literally starting their transition, it's a very much an emotional roller coaster for both people involved. Even not all the time, of course, and it's not all about your transition, but obviously it takes up a huge part of your thoughts, your daily life.
I think it's a very selfish time, you know.
It is a very selfish time, and it does have to be, of course. But at the same time, because it is a time when you need to be thinking of yourself. Having someone else, and I'm not saying that you can't have a relationship at that time. Of course you can.
Well, I was so grateful to be in a relationship
and
at
I think
the time
it can be really useful to have someone there that loves you unconditionally, of course. But there is knock-on effects in the relationship because of obviously maybe you don't have that capacity.
External pressures, perhaps as well, society.
Yeah, maybe the capacity, firstly, to give loads of extra time to someone else when everything you're dealing with has become quite all-consuming.
That's how it felt, definitely.
So there's that, which obviously it's not your fault, and I don't think it doesn't come into the equation straight away, but maybe after a period of time, I think that person might want, like in any other relationship, there needs to be a balance, isn't there? And there needs to still be an element of romance, and there might not be time for that as much as there would be normally. I'm not saying that's anyone's fault, but I think that's a factor.
Definitely.
And obviously there's pressures, like you were saying, pressures do come into it from all kinds of places, from the fact that you're actually...
There was a lot going on for us at the time. I think that obviously it wasn't just trans related issues, but that was probably the major part of it. And I remember we went off to go to Florida for my surgery, and I remember you saying that was kind of a tricky time for you as well.
You going through surgery was a huge deal for me too. Obviously it was a great thing that because after being the NHS is an amazing, wonderful thing, but you'd got to the point where you just couldn't wait any longer. So it was great in the sense that we'd managed to organise this. We'd got the money together, or you'd got the money together.
It's amazing how quickly it seemed to happen.
We did it, and we went to the States, and we did have a great time as well. We kind of had a bit of a holiday beforehand. But it was a huge emotional because there was so many worries as well. You know, we were going to the States, we were on our own.
Yeah.
Your parents did come, but at the initial point of your surgery, it was just us. I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, we'd done our research. You'd done your research much more than I had, because it's obviously something that you were actually going to be physically going through. But as being the emotional support, of course, I wouldn't change that for the world. But it was really hard going.
Yeah.
It was like seeing your partner going through this surgery, which was obviously something you want, but something I'd never experienced before. It's quite quick turnaround.
Yeah.
It's quite radical surgery. So
do you think there were a lot of pressures from people around you? Like, were there people that you could talk to at the time?
Not hugely, actually. I didn't feel like I had loads of people to talk to other than you. And obviously we had friends, but even though it was only not that long ago, things have changed quite dramatically in the last few years, as in talking about surgeries. I didn't feel like I had at all a support network, which actually now I think is so important for trans partners as well, to have that support, because I think you as a partner can end up feeling isolated and alone, because you want to be there to support your partner, to be their rock, to be their emotional support. But it's really emotional for you too, and really difficult, and there's a lot of hardships and a lot of great stuff too, but as I said before, it's an emotional roller coaster. And then when there's no one to talk to but your partner, and sometimes you probably need someone else to talk to rather than that person,
of course.
So in many ways it brings you really close together, because you're going through this huge thing, but at the same time
it's very intense.
It's a little bit traumatic at times, because of the surgery, the emotions, the up and down.
And I think you're right about the time, even though it was only a few years ago, but there was a bit more judgment perhaps around then, and there were people around us that were unsure what I was doing, why I was doing it, and why you were with me.
They didn't understand, like, because I've always been in relationships with women before, they were like, but you're a lesbian, and that just seemed ridiculous to me, that people even say stuff like that. For me it was never about that. It's about, of course I've generally in the past been more attracted to
female identified
people, but for me it's about the person at the end of the day, and we'd always had a huge connection, so having that lack of understanding from friends was hard as well, because also I'd not long prior to us getting together had broken up in a very long-term relationship, and
out of respect you kind of didn't want to talk on camera.
I didn't want to be this is my new partner who I really love, and what I mean, because
exactly.
And it just felt, because obviously I didn't know, never wanted to flaunt it. I personally felt really bad about breaking up with my partner, not that we did anything wrong, but just because we'd been together for a long time. So it was, even though it wasn't something I wanted any longer, it was still very hard. It was a huge transition in my life. So I'd gone from this long-term relationship, being with someone from my entire 20s, to then being in this new exciting relationship, but at the same time with someone who's also transitioning hugely. There's like a huge change on the horizon, which was great, and of course I loved you and wanted to support you 100%, but there was just like lots of uncertainty and worries and little bit of things like that, and also because of the fact that I was going through a transition from a relationship to another, and singledom to another relationship. Friendships changed,
of course,
and lost friends. Not that they probably would have been there for me, but I didn't feel like I had them. And people also didn't understand transitioning so much. And when I explained, my mum was amazing. My mum was cool.
Great. I'm really glad to hear that.
Just like she completely got it, but lots of other people didn't.
Well, I'm so glad that we're friends now anyway, so thank you so much, Cubby. Like, it's been great chatting with you. I call her Cubby sometimes. Thank you. You start.
Oh, thank you, Fox.